Okay, good. Another minute or two. Charles, good to see you. Jackie, good to see
morning.
you.
I've made it. I was concerned earlier, but I made it.
Ashley and Ted. Good
Morning.
morning. Good morning. Good morning. I don't know the rest of the song, sorry, but I do know that part.
It's
Happy
great
Friday.
you slept in late.
Oh, it's great that you slept in late. Is that what you said?
But good morning. Good morning to you.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm blanking on what musical that's from, but
I can't remember either.
Is that The Sound of Music?
No,
no.
I know The Sound of Music really well. By the way, I think I was 10 years old and I went into Salt Lake. My mom dropped me off at a theater while she went shopping and dropped me off in Salt Lake at a theater by myself so I could go watch The Sound of Music. That's how safe it was back then. I was 10 years old.
The musical Singing in the Rain, by the way.
Oh, Singing in the Rain.
Singing in
Is
the
that what
Rain.
it is? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Now we know.
Now it won't bother you all day.
No, it won't bother us. We're officially, we understand. So, all right. Well, it's 8:30. Let's get started. Thanks for being here. It's Friday morning. And appreciate everybody jumping on. And we've got a lot to cover today. We're going to start off with our lovely, as soon as you can see that, Ashley, not Ashley Labrum, but Ashley Hosang is going to read that for us. Ashley.
Happy Friday.
Yes.
Okay, so today we have hard work. People that pull beyond their own weight, who give more than they receive. We believe in being self-reliant and exceeding our duty. We are dependable.
Yes. Thank you so much. So hard work and smart. I think it's good that we can be, work hard and work smart. And that's all a major part of what we do. So thank you, Ashley, for reading that and sharing. So, so let me ask, there were 4 keys that we've talked about in the last document. What do we hire for? Does anybody remember? What do we hire for?
Talent.
Talent. We hire for talent. So just remember, that's what we're doing. Hiring for talent. Okay. So as we talk about some of the things we're going to talk about today, today's Q12 day. All right. Q12 day. So I'm going to have everybody participate by helping us read through. I'm going to have each of you take the Q12, answer those questions, and then this coming week, we have an assignment for you with your team, and to get you understanding more about Q12 and about the people that you work with. So, okay, Q12. What is Q12? What the heck is that anyway? Anybody know? Anybody have done the Q12 before?
Trying to find the Q12.
It's on that document. And I've got to pull mine up here real quick.
I can answer that. It's from the book First Break All the Rules, and they talk about 12 questions that really sum up employee engagement, and they've found through the Gallup organization, through hundreds of thousands of, maybe millions of surveys, that these are the things that are relevant to an employee's relationship with the company. And they kind of relate, they're progressive. The first 6 are the most important. And I think the first 4 are maybe what they call base camp, but as they make a metaphor of climbing Mount Everest, and they kind of have it be progressively, you're moving up to the top. But it's from the book First Break All the Rules.
Right. Thank you. And it's really exciting that we have this. I love the questions. I love being able to to think about and ponder on those a little bit, which is really powerful. So as we go through, we're going to dig into some of that, but I want to let me start off with John Martinez. Could you read about halfway down on that first couple of paragraphs there, probably down to where it says page 36?
So is your microphone working, John?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me right now?
There you go.
Okay, awesome. So starting at every manager is required to read first, break all the rules, or down?
Yep, that's good. That's where you start.
Every manager is required to read first, break all the rules, and review the strategies with their manager in one-to-ones. Every manager will review these Q12 items with each of their people regularly. Every manager seeks to get 5s from their people on each question. Is that how far you want me to read? Or
keep going down to where it says page 36.
All right. Managers will focus on each question. Is it in ascending order? 1, 2, 3, etc. The first 2 questions, base camp, are most important. The next 4, camp 1, are the next most important, and these 6 should take priority. These answer the questions: what do I get, base camp, and what do I give, camp 1? As a manager, if you want to know what you should do to build a strong and productive workplace, securing 5s to these 6 items is an excellent place to start.
Great. So it just gave you some very good information. If you, as a manager, want to know what you should do to build a strong and productive workplace, it just gave you the answer right there. So this is really, really good to be able to focus on. Okay, let me have Mariah. Would you mind reading where it says the Q12 chain, and then just go down right before we get into the questions?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Let's see. So the Q12 chain is when every manager has a Q12 relationship, discussions, and work on them, not necessarily all 5s. With each of their people from CEO down, this will start with the CEO to his or her direct reports. We will purchase from Gallup and provide some Q12 manager and engagement training materials. We will also do a Q12 survey from Gallup after 6 to 12 months of establishing the Q12 chain and annually thereafter. Each of the 12 questions will be scored 1 to 5. 1 is seldom, 0 to 40% of the time. 2 is sometimes, 41 to 59%. 3 is quite often, 60 to 79. 4 is most of the time, 80 to 89. And 5 is almost always 90 to 100.
Okay, so there's your qualifications for each number. So as we go through the questions, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to read the questions, and then we'll stop and we'll get into the more detailed question, and we'll talk about those and have you answer them for yourself, and then kind of talk a little bit about them and what you're going to do this coming week, next week, to work with your team. So, okay, let's see. Arturo, let's have you read number 1.
I know what is expected of me at work.
I know what is number 1. I know what is expected of me at work. Okay, now remember, these first 6 are the most important. It's funny kind of how the line ended up there, but these first 6, and especially the first 2. So number 1, I know what is expected of me at work. Okay, Manny, could you read number 2 for us? Is Manny's mic?
Okay.
Or there you go.
Okay, the number 2, I have the material and equipment I need to do my work right.
Okay. So resource, do we have the materials and equipment? All right. Maddie, not Manny, but Maddie, will you read number 3?
At work, I have the opportunity to do what I do best every day.
let's see, what do we hire for? Talent.
Talent.
And do we have the opportunity to do that? Okay, number 4 is Maria. Are you on? And I don't know, I can't see. Okay,
No.
she's not on. Okay. All right, let's have Bree. I think I saw your face.
You're muted, Bree. That was a great reading. Let me, no, still. Okay, she can't unmute. I can
Okay.
do it. Was it
Okay.
number 3?
Number 4.
Number 4. In the last 7 days, I have received recognition or praise for doing good work.
Okay. Very interesting statement as well, right? All right. And again, we'll come back to these in just a second. So my number 5, let's have Joe.
All right. My supervisor or someone at work seems to care about me as a person.
Okay, perfect. Ashley Labrum, let's have you read number 6.
There is someone at work who encourages my development.
Someone at work. Okay, good.
Can I interject and ask a question?
Yes.
And just see what does anyone feel like these almost seem a little simplistic? Like, really, this is the Ark of the Covenant, from Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is the grand secret that to work and employee engagement, and they seem a little simple to me. Or do you feel like no, they are? You can see how impactful they are, and do you think they don't exist that often in work, or what do you think about the question so far?
I think they're great questions. They are extremely simple, and I think that's the beauty of them. They're simple reminders of who we leaders ought to be. And even as simple as they are, how many of these things are truly practiced in companies? How often do we see all these things? I just think the simplicity of it is the beauty of it.
Any other thoughts?
This is the first company I've worked for that provided training, like right off the bat, structured training. I knew what was expected of me. I had my job description. So I think it is far more rare than it should be, honestly.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that?
We often overlook this. We often take this for granted. And that's what I see it is that, we look at this as an employee with an employer and with our coworkers, and we think that this is just kind of standard, but we overlook it. And things like this feel good, right? It benefits us. It gives us motivation.
And I think that, this simpleness, sometimes it's these simple things that have the most power behind them, I believe. I think we may look at, like, some of these are yes, no, and how do we dig a little bit deeper to go down with the answers a little bit further, and not just have yes, no, which we'll do when we do the more detailed things. So any other responses on that? I think it was good. That was a good question on kind of the temperature of what that looks like. So let's finish off these, and then we'll get into the more detailed piece. Shane, will you read the next one for us, number 8?
The mission or purpose of my company makes me feel my job is important.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. I just have to look and see. Kyle, will you read number 9? And are you on mute, Kyle?
I'm trying to come off mute.
There you go.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Still shows muted on my end. My associates or fellow employees are committed to doing quality work.
Okay. Who did I miss? Ashley Hosang, will you read number 10?
I have a best friend at work.
The best friend at work. That's good. Scott, number 11.
In the last 6 months, someone at work has talked to me about my progress.
Okay. And number 12, this last year, I have had opportunities at work to learn and grow. Okay. So these are, again, are really, as we read through these, the fact that they are simple helps us to be able to focus more clearly on what is being asked. And again, I think that, these are yes, no, but I think as we think about like what this really means and how how we can work with our employees and with our managers and so forth, just how we can develop this out just a little bit more. So let's do this. Everybody get your pen and paper out, or your computer or your tablet or your phone or whatever, wherever you take notes, and we're gonna do the Q12. I want each of you to take this, and then we'll have an assignment next week along with the Q12. Okay. So number one, and I'm going to read the little bit more detailed. And as we do this, again, listen to the expanded version of this and kind of answer a little bit more, about that. It's to help kind of jog you a little bit so that you are thinking beyond just yes, no. Okay.
Can I add a quick comment here? Just that
Yes.
these are incomplete. When I wrote these out, they were, I just feel like there's more, and I haven't really circled back to revisit them. So there's, anyway, and we would love input if you have any ideas of great questions or good things to think about in each of these, because I think these explanation questions are a little incomplete. Also, just maybe Carrie can explain it, but there's two little acronym things in here. In this first one, PAT, for those of you that don't do it, is the priority alignment tool, and it tells you, basically this says, why do we do the priority alignment tool? And it's so that a manager and a subordinate, or an employee and their manager, can think about and both agree, what are my roles, what are my responsibilities, what are the directions within that, and it's a way to lead while absent, that you can continue to have your employee review those and just review what was discussed. And then green and clean is I guess you'd call it a metaphor from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that you agree on the outcome, you agree on the roles or the responsibilities and the roles and the feedback mechanisms. And it was with his son about doing the yard work in the lawn, and the outcome is that the lawn is green and clean, and then it's up to him how he does it. So
Right.
kind of, those don't have any explanation in there. Sorry about that.
No, that's good. Thank you. And as we hit that, we'll kind of bring that back up again. And as you get into the book, when we start reading into the book, and some of you may have already started, and that's great. You may have finished the book. I don't know. But first, break all the rules, and we'll get it, has more detail, and yeah, we would love feedback on additional questions. These are just to help spur us forward on what we're talking about. As we look at these questions, think about the people that you're working with, that you're managing or leading, or that you work for, and how does this play in? Okay, so everybody ready? Question number 1. I know what is expected of me at work. And it should have a question mark behind that too. I know what is expected of me at work. What is expected? And do we agree between employee and manager? Ted just explained the priority alignment tool, which is a great resource for us to use. What does success look like? We talk about green and clean. What does success look like for you? Again, under the I know what is expected of me, What does success look like for you? Do you know all the roles and your responsibilities? And do we agree on those? That goes back to the PAT. So again, if people have, part of the 4 keys is understanding, that we're hiring for talent, and then we talk about expectations. We have to have those outcome pieces. And so if you don't know what your roles and responsibilities are, how do you do them? How do you get through? So as you think about that question, is there anybody here that would say that you're pretty clear on your roles and responsibilities? Or is there still some maybe, and this isn't, I'm not trying to, out a manager or anything like that. This is just clarification. This is just helping us. Do we fully know what our roles and responsibilities? That's what I love about the PAT. If you haven't been involved in the PAT, it lays those things out. Here's my role and the responsibilities under that role. Here's the next role and my responsibilities under that role. And then you have a chance in the PAT status update to kind of share, what that looks like for you during the week. So this is a good opportunity. Question number 1. Everybody should have that.
Hey, Carrie.
Yes.
So are you asking all of us to rank these on 1 through 5 for ourselves?
Yes.
Okay,
Just like this up here. So number 1, seldom. 2, sometimes. 3, quite often. 4, most of the time. 5, almost always. Thank you, Joe. That was good. I should have explained that again. 1 through 5 there's your numbers right there.
I have a comment on number 1.
Yes,
maybe a brief story. Early in my 20s, I worked at a warehouse for 2 months. And it was for a person in my neighborhood. He was the president of the company. And, I went to work, and it got to be this really interesting thing, because I would do all the things that they asked. And then I would come in to the main office and say, hey, I'm done with all of my tasks for the day. And then just kind of stand there and wait for some feedback. And they're like, okay, go home. And this happened every single day. And it got to be this really big challenge, because it's like, okay, I know what is expected of me at work, kind of, but they're not giving me any feedback. And so I did feel like I had, in the terms, this big specificity issue, right? I would go home every single day trying to figure out, like, did I do something wrong? Are they mad at me? Like, I'm in my head completely, like, what is going on? I've never had a working experience where I would go and let people know I'm done with my work, and I did these things. So I started going in, and I would clean the bathrooms as an extra duty, or I would go in and find extra work to do, and then come to the boss and say, I've done my work, and I also did this, this, and this. And they'd say, okay, go home. And this happened for 2 months, and I had to leave, because I just didn't feel like I was getting any feedback on whether I was doing a good job or if I was really doing my job right. I felt like that there was a major specificity, although they had told me, this is your job. You're in the warehouse and do warehouse things. Okay, great. Fill orders. Okay, great. But am I doing a good job? Am I not? I wasn't getting any feedback. And I think that these questions, if a manager will think about them through that light of how is your employee receiving it? And so I'd ask each one of you that as you're reading through and grading these questions, make sure that you share that with your manager, so you can have some great dialogue about these things.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, that's it. How many of you have ever worked for a company where you just didn't really know what you were supposed to do? You kind of had to wander a little bit. I think a lot of companies have that problem. I've started on my first day before, and they're just kind of like, okay, go do whatever you do. I'm like, well, like, what do you want? What does that mean for you? So it's really good that we are clear on, do we know, what's expected of us at work? Okay. Very good. Thank you. All right. So next one, number 2, grade this one again, 1 through 5. I have the materials and equipment I need to do my work right. So what are those materials and equipment? Each one of you have different roles and responsibilities, and some of these things will be different for each one of you. If you're an outside salesperson, would it be good to have a car? Probably
phone,
so.
HubSpot.
Yeah. Okay. So what does right work look like? To do my work right, what does that look like? So, just think about that, jot that down, take a little bit of a, survey. So Charles just mentioned, you've got cell phone, you've got, you got to have a computer, you got to have a car, you got to have HubSpot, but you got to have a computer to get HubSpot. We have our Griffin Hill program. So again, each one of you have different pieces that you're going to need. Some of you will need a printer. Some of you will, you just need to make sure. What does that look like? What are the materials? Okay. Techie, I'm going to have you read number 3.
At work, I have the opportunity to do what I do best every day. What are you best in life? How does what you do here align with that? What are you best at here at work?
Okay, at work. Now listen to this again, this question. I have the opportunity to do what I do best. How often? Every day. Every day. Do I have the opportunity every day to do what I do best? And what are you best at in life? Again, this is a question. So write this down. Write down at least 2 things that you are best at. What, even if it's just one thing, what are you best at? What's your talent? Write that down. You need to know that, and somebody else in the company needs to know that. And how does what you do here align with that, with your work? What you do best, how does that align with your work? And what are you best at here at work itself? Great questions. Man, we really need to know the answers to that. Okay. Belinda, I skipped you earlier. Would you read number 4 for us if your mic's working? Whoops, is Belinda?
I think you're on mute, Belinda, if it'll come off.
I can read it since I didn't last time. I'm on my phone now.
Okay. All right, Bree.
All right. In the last 7 days, I have received recognition or praise for doing good work. How do you best like to receive recognition or praise?
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot, Bree. Thank you. Thanks for doing that. How do you like to receive recognition, Bree? How do you best like to receive it?
I would say I like to just be told, wow, that was a great idea, or that was a good job. I'm totally fine just even being just told that. It's kind of more motivational. I don't need anything crazy or big, just saying like you're going down the right path, you're doing a great job. That's
so that's you though, right? What if
Yeah.
somebody else likes to have, what if they like to have the trophies and the plaques and the, their name in the tribalry thing? What do we think about that? You may not like that. What are you going to do if somebody else does like it that's on your team?
Then you see the way that they like to be praised and you do accordingly.
Yeah. Because we have different personalities, right? So it's really important for us to focus in on that. So yeah. But we need to ask those questions. How do you best like to receive recognition? And in the last 7 days, have I received recognition or praise for doing a good job? And it can be fairly simple, just telling somebody that they're doing a great job goes a long ways. Okay. I'm just going to keep kind of going there. Shane, will you read number 5 for us?
My supervisor or someone at work seems to care about me as a person. What are the things I could do to support you more? Do I, as the manager, know them, their strengths, their passions, their life outside of work?
You're new with the company, so you've got all this down, right? You know everybody's strengths, passions, things they like to do outside of work. I'm sure you're learning that, right?
I'm working on it. I am working on it. Something cool I learned yesterday is Jason's son plays professional baseball.
Yeah.
And he likes to go to baseball games. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah. And you guys, we should know our people. We should know the things they enjoy. We should know their strengths. This is why I'm asking you to answer that question up there, so that we can start understanding. We should know their passions, their life outside of work. So my supervisor or someone at work seems to care about me as a person, and that's how we care about people, is learning about them and talking with them. And again, it doesn't mean we're always going to hang out after work or things like that, but we should know about our people, and we should make sure that we understand where their passion and stuff lies. So any other comment on that? Okay. Let's see. I'm going to have Ashley Labrum. Let's have you read that next one for us again, will you? Number 8, sorry. Or number 7.
Number 7.
Uh-huh.
At work, my opinions seem to count. Do I, as the manager, ask their opinion in meetings and in one-to-ones?
Okay.
Yeah, I believe you're on 6, actually.
Are we on 6, though?
We're on 6.
Oh, did I? Oh, sorry. Okay.
Back it up.
So if you could read 6 for us.
Yeah. There's someone at work who encourages my development. 1, do they have a mentor? Am I being a coach in addition to the manager? 2, do I know what they want progression development wise? 3, do we have a joint plan for them, manager and employee, for employee growth?
Wow. Okay. So there is someone at work who encourages my development. Who would that be? You, the manager. Okay. And then there's others who are there to encourage them. What's the difference between mentor and coach? Any thoughts on that? Between mentor and coach?
I would say mentor is someone who guides along the way to kind of help you make the right decision. And coach is more someone who is teaching you along with showing you along the way.
Okay, Techie?
Yeah, and along with what Bree's saying, like being taught, I see mentors more as advisor. Their role is more a bit passive, and as a coach, their role is more dynamic and active, meaning they're teaching you, guiding you, as long as keeping you accountable to what your goals are. So that's how I see coaches.
So how many of you have this book yet? Everybody got it? What does the front cover say?
It's the manager.
It's the manager. What else?
Moving from boss to coach.
Moving from boss to coach. So the manager is the coach. So if the manager is the coach, who can be a mentor?
Anyone.
Anyone. Okay, so it's not required to be a manager or your boss or things like that. Anyone can be a mentor. Anybody that can kind of give advice or that skill level or that experience behind it. Does somebody have a response?
No, I was just going to mention that we say anyone can be a mentor. You got to be a little careful with that. You could have someone with a bad attitude, and you don't want to pair that person up.
That would be a negative mentor, right?
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a good thing.
I know what we're saying. I'm just kind of making some fun.
No,
here.
which is good. It's a good point, right? We do want to choose mentors, somebody that can kind of help us. I've heard Maddie, talk about having Kyle be a mentor. because of not because of the fact that Kyle is in that executive role, but because Kyle is a HR professional guru that can really help Maddie in her, in her desire to move forward with HR stuff, right? Is that right, Maddie? Okay. So lots of different people can be mentors. You can choose mentors to help you. Your manager should be your coach, the one that's going to guide the team and give you direction while you're on the floor playing like a basketball game. That's who the coach is going to be, that person that's going to bring the team together and bring you together and help you and bring the very best out of you, is what that coach is there for. Okay. All right. And you already read number 7. So thank you for that. At work, my opinions seem to count. I know when I was starting off with Shane, when he and I were having some discussions when he first started, and that was one of the things he mentioned to me was, I want to work for a company where my opinions count, where I can make suggestions or have ideas, and people don't just blow you off. So answer number 6 as well. At work, my opinions seem to count. Now, maybe you feel that yours don't. Be fair, be honest. Rank it 1 through 5, 5 being the best, 1 being the least. And then as a manager, do I, as the manager, ask their opinion? Okay. Do we ask in those 1-to-1s? Okay. Charles, could you read number 8 for us?
Yes, sir. The mission or purpose of my company makes me feel my job is important. Why is that? What is our culture? What about our culture matters most to you? And which value of ours is most aligned with you?
So
Interesting. Yes.
The first question is the mission or the purpose of my company makes me feel my job is important. Do you know what the culture is? Do you know what the mission and the purpose is? We just went through all of it. We have a culture piece every single time we have a meeting. So we are getting really familiar with the mission, the purpose, the vision, the core values and our culture pieces. So we have to, answer that first question, but why is that? Why is it important? And which of these seems to resonate with you? I've talked with a lot of you in different trainings and interviews and all kinds of things. And it's just interesting to see, oh, this one stands out the most to me. And this one makes the most sense to me. So that's really an important piece.
And the mission should be each one of our mission. Not only is it important and it makes our jobs important, it should be each one of our mission too. Because we're working together towards something. And so I think that's really what that's getting at, is are we working together towards something? And if we are, then our jobs become extremely meaningful and important. If we're all kind of doing our own thing and everyone's kind of going in their own directions, then I think we probably have a bit of a mission issue in the company.
Yeah, so we've laid those out. It's kind of like, John F. Kennedy put a man on the moon by, such and such a time. That was the mission, and everybody was fully focused on achieving that, and they did. Okay, and they did. So that's really important. All right, number 9, Kyle. Since you were talking, can you just read number 9 for us? So answer the question first, and then listen to these details.
My associates or fellow employees are committed to doing quality work.
So my associate or fellow employees are committed to doing quality work. You have to answer that 1 through 5. What does that feel like? Do you feel your teammates care about the work? And do you think they care about their own work? And in some cases, the answer is probably going to be no. And this is part of where we have to kind of dig in with helping people. And maybe there's no, maybe this isn't a good fit. Maybe they're in the wrong seat. Kyle, will you read number 2 underneath number 9?
I, as the manager, holding everyone accountable and ensuring people are all doing their part, and each person is committed to this objective as well as doing quality work.
What does that mean to you?
It means first of all, it's a specificity thing. So, so that we can hold very clearly accountable. It's a green and clean thing, the quality in there. So it kind of ties back to number 1, I think, on that.
Okay. Number 3 is great. Elite performers who want to work with other elite performers. What does that mean to you guys? What does that mean? Elite performers who want to work with other elite performers. What does that mean?
For me, Carrie, if I could speak, looking at elite performers and other elite, I look at it as being world class. You want to align and be the best. We want to be elite. We want to stand out. We want to be seen, noticed, and just be ultra competitive and shine. Elite.
Yeah. Techie?
I don't know. I like this reminds of a phrase, iron sharpens iron. We can go stronger with those who are also strong as well. And if you try sharpening a knife with a dull knife, I don't think you have the same impact as something else. So I like that. When when you're around elite performers, it's just a natural. You feel the energy. You want to do your best as well. And then when you're not around an elite performer, it brings the group down for sure and your performance down. So
yeah, because how are elite performers? I mean, they're go-getters. They're focused. They're out there to do their best. They're giving it 100% all the time. Sometimes they're cocky and but that's kind of comes with it. But elite performers, you kind of want to be one, and you kind of want to be around other ones, and when we are, and we're all, all those cylinders are kicking into gear, man, you can do a lot of great things. It's just amazing. So that's really good. So again, we want to do the best work with the best people. And again, is that true for your team? So, just think about that. X Factor. Joe, read number 4 for us and tell us a little bit about X Factor.
X Factor, level 5 leaders operating on level 5 teams in a level 5 culture. What does level 5 mean, you might ask? Personal humility plus indomitable will. It's hard to say that one, by the way. Plus indomitable will with ambition for the cause, the purpose, the work, the company versus themselves. It goes on to say, do we understand this? Does this exist here? In your opinion, what do you take? What would it take to make it so? And that's, I think, the key thing, that last thing. So I love how we define what is a level 5 culture, right? Personal humility, indomitable will, and ambition for the cause, the purpose, and the work. I think that those things, just like if you want to talk about passion, you want to talk about purpose, it's like build level 5 cultures. And these are tools to help you to build the X factor. And if you want the X factor, you've got to hold high standards. As a coach, you don't want to do it for people. If you're a coach in a basketball game, you don't go jump in and be like, get out of my way, I'm going to go make this shot, right? No. It's what the practice was for. So when it's time to make those shots count, they've got the reps and you trust them that they're going to go do that. Not only that, but they want it more than anybody in the world. And so your job as a coach is to help them to get what they want more than anything in the world, and walk them through the steps and the practice and making sure that they've got the reps in there, but also holding them accountable to doing what it is that they said that they wanted. That's what creates X factor, in my opinion.
And how does it feel when you see somebody do the very best?
Man, it's as a coach, it's the most pride that you can ever have. That is the good kind of pride, right? It's like, man, I helped. It's like the same pride you see with one of your kids. Like, they did it, right? They got the goal in the soccer thing, right? So they whatever it is, it's like, man, all that hard work paid off. It's just the most alleviating, exciting, and you're not excited for you, you're excited for them. It is the coolest experience, in my opinion. It's that moment of pride that you help someone.
Yeah, and I think it does relate, if you do have kids. I remember when my third child, all my boys love basketball. I had one that was really excelled. He was a John Stockton. He loved John Stockton. And when they played in the, when they were playing in the championship games, he could hardly stand to watch if John was going to make it or miss. I mean, he was just so tied into that so much, and he emulated everything, and he practiced every single day. I never had to tell him to go out and practice shooting. When he was, in high school, he made the freshman team, and then he started as a sophomore. He started as a point guard as a sophomore, and to see him, that worked so hard, and he was self-motivated to do this, and to see him work that hard and actually excel to that level was a fantastic experience. And one of those things that you just love. So, and all of you have, you've got kids that do different things, that they're doing their best, whether it's music or whether it's theater or whatever. That's just an amazing experience. And for our team, it feels the same way when you see some of your team members do the best, that they become that elite performer. I love it. So, and then number 5 there, people depend on people. I've got your back. Does your team depend on each other? And is that trust well placed? Do they have your back? Do they have your back? Okay. Mariah, will you read number 10 for us?
Yeah. I have a best friend at work. What role can we have in this?
Okay. What does that mean? I have a best friend. Is your best friend at work? Or can you have a best friend at work? So this is a little tricky of a question.
And I don't think it means that your best friend in life is at work. Now, that's possible.
Yeah.
But it's that you have a friend at work, and by best, it means like not an acquaintance, I think. The bar isn't that your best friend in life is at work, but that you've got somebody that you enjoy being with, that's a friend. But that's not just they're a casual work friend. I think they're aiming for a relationship, that there's a valuable relationship that could possibly continue. If you left and went somewhere else, you would stay and hopefully stay friends with this person. I don't know if you feel like that's an apt description of that.
I agree. How many of you here have a friend at work? It may not be your very best friend in life, but how many of you have a friend at work? I do. I'm so grateful for, the relationships that I have, and I consider all of you friends. I really do, and I think that's an important piece. So we just want to look at that again and say, these teams that we're a part of and the relationships that we have, they're very, very important. So these teams that you're, running or that you're a part of, I mean, these teams are valuable to our success, and we stay with a company or we leave a company because of these teams that we're involved with, or our managers that we're involved with. It's not usually, and sometimes it's the excuse that's given, oh, I don't want to stay with this company. I didn't ever get any training or whatever. But really, it's probably a person within the company or the team that they're involved with that makes the difference. Okay. So, all right. John, will you read number 11? And you might be muted. Nope. It's not working, John.
It shows he's off of mute, but it doesn't seem to work. I can read 11 for John.
Okay.
You can nod along as if you can mouth it, and I'll be your voice reader. I'm just teasing.
Yeah, there you go.
In the last 6 months, someone at work has talked to me about my progress. We should discuss that at least every quarter.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully you're getting talked about, and hopefully you're talking to your team about their progress. Nothing worse than waiting till the end of the year and finding out that your progress wasn't all that great, and you're not going to, get any pats on the back because and you didn't know. So this is something that we should talk about progress, on a regular basis. Shouldn't be once a year.
Yeah, something to add to this is we have this statement. I can't remember it word for word here. And if someone does, feel free to jump in. But this is that piece where progress doesn't necessarily need to be, as we've heard, the next rung on the ladder. Progress could mean increasing our market share. Progress could mean so many different things to so many different people. And this is where it becomes, specificity, right? It doesn't have to mean that you're going to have that role or you are working towards that role. It could be, how are you growing your market share? It could be, how are you making sure you're maximizing your clients? What does progress mean to that individual? How do they see progress? And how do you see progress? And this is an opportunity, is if they aren't sure that you're meeting with them about this, this is an opportunity to become highly aligned with what do they want when it comes to their progression. Because it could be just learning business, having more business acumen in certain aspects. It could be building relationships. But I can tell you this much: as a kid, I was the worst. I was worst game player in the world, because if I felt like I wasn't making progress in a game, man, I hated playing the game. But I didn't have to win. I just had to feel like I was making progress. And so I love games like Settlers of Catan, because if I don't win, it doesn't matter. I still got to build my little whatever it was. And the point of that is while it's important to win, I feel for me it's more important to make progress and improve and to learn than it is just to only have my bar set at win or lose. And that's the way that I kind of view these things. But make sure when we're thinking progress, we're not just thinking you're going to get to this next job. It's, what is it that they view as that progress?
Yeah. What do you love? What do you love? And can you do more of it? I think that's really, again, that's the hero's path. And that's part of that development. So, okay, Scott, if you have a jazz hat on, I think you do. I think last week it was Joe. This week it's Scott. So Scott, could you read number 12 for us?
Yeah, go Jazz.
Go Jazz.
This last year, I have had opportunities at work to learn and grow.
So,
would you like me to read the point there?
Yep.
Yeah. So, what are they? How did I, as the manager, create or facilitate those?
So, have any of you had an opportunity to learn and to grow? Is there anybody here that says, no, I don't think I have? Because we're sitting here on this call, right? So if you don't feel like you've had an opportunity to learn and to grow and you're on this call, then we have another issue. Okay. So how powerful is that? And what are those opportunities? What do we have in the company to help us to learn and to grow? And as a manager, are you asking those questions with your people to help create or facilitate those learning opportunities? Is anybody on here currently reading a book outside of this group? Is anybody reading a book? Okay, and then you take this group and we're reading, and we haven't done it all yet, but we're reading how many? Three books, you know, we haven't got there yet, but so is that part of learning and growing? Yeah. Yeah, so great opportunity. And we need to make sure people have those opportunities as we do it. So let me just finish off. I want to just read this last piece. And again, I'm going to have Ashley read that first paragraph. Ashley Labrum, please.
As a manager, you hold perhaps the most important role in our company. It is very complicated. You need to be many things at once: subject matter expert, individual performer, technical or project manager. Some of our managers are also required to be a leader. You are expected to manage yourself, your team, build and create efficiencies, and support and actualize your company's goals, values, and strategies. Your most important role may be that of a catalyst for your team.
Yep. So you hold perhaps the most important role in our company. And your most important role may be that of catalyst for your team. And everything in between that was very powerful. Okay, that was really good. Ashley Hosang, will you read that second paragraph there for me? And just listen to the words and think about this.
You set the tone for the work environment. You need to know your employees well, provide them with clear expectations, invest in their development, and build mutually trusting relationships. You are expected to lead a team that is motivated to provide good customer service, to work diligently, and to collaborate with others to reach the performance objective of the team and company.
Yeah, so you, the manager, set the tone for the work environment. Again, what do we hire for? Talent. You need to know your employees well and provide them with clear expectations and invest in their development and build those trusting relationships. Arturo, will you read that last paragraph for us? That 2 sentences there.
Your job as a manager is to listen to your employees, learn about their needs and the factors influencing their engagement, and to lead them to take the actions necessary to realize their performance goals.
Yeah, man, everything we've read over and over in this document talks about, you know, strengths and talents, listening to your people, understanding their passions, you know, wanting to make sure that you give them opportunities to develop and to grow. I mean, is it clear? Is it clear to you guys what we're supposed to be doing and how we're supposed to engage with our employees? Does this make sense to everybody? Any questions on the Q12? You know, you all answered those questions for yourself, and hopefully you dug in just a little bit more. So any questions on any of those or comments that you might have?
I really like this one. I really thought that this was very, what's a good word, but pertinent, right? I think it really rings true in what we do and what we do as leaders, and it opens your eyes to not forget about a lot of these topics and to really dig deep and learn. In sales, we do this with clients, right? We push so hard with customers to better understand them as more than just customers, to build these relationships. We absolutely need to be doing these with our teams.
Yeah. And isn't it cool that we have the documents that we can go back to and reference and say, oh yeah, man, this is so good. I can see, you know, where the company's trying to go. I can buy into this because I love it. You know, I love when we can, you know, have these things that really help us. When we first started reading First Break All the Rules and then the 9 Lies About Work, I was really blown away. I just loved it. And this Q12 stuff comes directly from there. They've done so much research and work on this. That's amazing. So here's our assignment for the week. It is to get with your teams. Okay. If you have a team that you're managing and coaching, then you need to get with them. If you don't have If you're not leading a team presently, then you need to get with the person that is your coach or manager and go over the Q12 questions. Now, some of you have people that are not on this call, of course, and I would like you to do, if you've got a large team and you can't get to everybody, at least do a couple, because I'd like to have you come back next week and kind of report how that Q12 questioning went with your team. And if you don't have people that you're currently managing, I'd like to have you report back to how did that discussion go with your manager, which if you don't have a team, your manager's probably on this call, most likely. So I really would like you to sit down one-on-one with everybody that you can. If you can't get to everybody this week, at least a couple, so that you have something that you can report back on next week on how the Q12 went, and listen to the responses and talk about things you can do to help your team members. And if you are the team member, how do you feel about these things, and how can you continue to grow and develop? Does everybody understand the assignment? Okay, any other comments on that? All right, to finish off, we have, we're just right on the edge here. So take just a second and write down 3 things that jumped out to you today. 3 things that resonated with you or popped into your head. It doesn't even have to be the things that we talked about, but it popped into your head. But what 3 things jumped out to you today? And what one action item are you going to take next week to fulfill at least one of those things? Give you another minute. So while you're finishing up, Charles, what was one thing that jumped out to you this week for you?
One thing that really just stood out, about the call of the week. I thought you were asking what for the call here.
For the call.
What really stood out to me is when we discussed what are you best at? We hear some things talked about that. I know I run that through my mind is, how can I do better? What can I provide more to the company to make us do better? How can I support the team? So that's what really stood out to me. What are you best at? And then know your role, kind of tying them in together. So I'm going to really work on those 2 and really analyze that a little a bit more.
Manny, how about you? What one thing jumped out to you today?
I was explaining that it's in the chart list where what we can do the best, for our team or company on or assignments or jobs, On my case, what is the best I can do with my team together with the relationship with our clients, That's the point. I can jump in for this call.
Good. I love it. You guys, this is great. And make sure that I hope you wrote these answers down from the Q12. Please make sure that you keep those and you start to develop with this. Have these talks this week, get with your teams. If you have a question about who your team is, then you can call me if you want to, but you should know your teams. And I'm excited. I'm excited to hear what you discussed in your exercise this week with your teams and, with your manager or as the manager with your people one-to-one. So fantastic. Really enjoyed your comments and helping out today. We'll be moving on to the next document, the last document, which is our employer of choice piece. And that one will be really good. So that'll be the last document that we do. Then we'll be getting into the book from that point on. But I just love this, and I hope that you're really enjoying what we're learning here, and it helps you each week develop as a better manager and coach in the company. All right. You guys have a fantastic weekend and be careful out there, and we'll talk to you again next week. Appreciate everybody.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks.
Thanks. Have a happy Friday.